USB.
Hi, Sean.
I talked to you
Oh,
yesterday.
good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
A great host. Jones Radio. Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
One mic.
It's the Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, and relevant, my friends. I want to start the show off this Saturday. I don't know if you know it. There's a Rededication 250, and they're going to have on a National Mall a prayer, 7 hours of prayer. And when I first saw the story, I said to myself, man, that we need that in this country. Like, we really need a prayer, like a prayer time, right? A national prayer time on a national mall. Just prayer. And I tell you, because I grew up in St. James in St. James Presbyterian Church in Harlem, New York, the greatest little village in the entire world. And my church it's a big church on the corner of 141st and St. Nicholas Avenue, and a whole bunch of us grew up there. And some of my earliest memories there it's going to church and listening to Reverend Shelby Rooks. He's the one that baptized me. And Shelby Rooks was this very, because Presbyterianism is kind of one step below Catholicism. It's real traditional, real quiet, no, amen, shout it, none of that. There's none. If you did that in my church when I was growing up, they'd look at you funny and never invite you back. For real. I mean, it was like that. But then we got this pastor, Reverend Gunn, who had come up in the Baptist tradition, but he was Presbyterian. And he became our pastor. And I remember he had that kind of hooting and hollering, that back and forth. Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get an amen? That kind of preaching. And my grandmother, I remember in the beginning, my grandmother, she was like, oh, we don't do that here. But then she got accustomed to Reverend Gunn's style, and she came to love it. But church, when I was growing up, as much as we didn't want to go all the time because we wanted to play outside, I remember church being always about the least of these. The poor, the hungry, the naked, people without homes, addicted people, domestic violence, people in domestic violence relationships. These kinds of things, these are the kinds of things that they talked about in helping those people. And then I would go visit Abyssinia Baptist Church down in same in Harlem. Calvin Butts was the pastor. The Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, the famous congressman out of Harlem, was the pastor. He was also the congressman from Harlem. And you went down there and it was a little bit more social justice-y before social justice was social justice. And they would talk about New York City and the problems and the unfairness. And I remember Calvin Butts took a steamroller to rap CDs that were preaching violence and drugs and all of that stuff. And he took a steamroller. He and C. Dolores Tucker worked together, fighting off this coming scourge on particularly American youth. I mean, on American youth, but particularly African-American youth. This gangster rap that was coming up. And he took a steamroller and steamrolled in the middle of the street all of these CDs that now had stickers on them. Which was the biggest trick ever because the stickers only made it more appealing to the youth to buy because it had the sticker. But we talk about that another time. But I remember growing up in church, that was the message. Hey, Shelley, do right in life. Help somebody in life. You see someone in need, help them. Do whatever you can to help them. I remember growing up, that was the message. And if I would visit a church in Queens or Brooklyn, or even when I moved down here, that was always the message. And so this Saturday, they're having Rededicate 250, 7 hours of prayer on a national mall. And I said, man, this is awesome. We need this in our country today. And I looked at the lineup of people that would be speaking. And I didn't see some of the names that I recognized because of politics. I didn't see some of those raucous preachers, those preachers that bring down the house. I didn't see their names. But I see Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, headlining Rededicate 250. And I said to myself, wait a minute. That's not what we need in this country right now. I don't need 7 hours of prayer led by administration officials. I need 7 hours of prayer led by preachers who are talking about praying for the sick, the crippled, the children, the hungry, the homeless, the diseased, the infirmed, the elderly, first responders, nurses, doctors. I don't need anybody up there praying for administration officials. I don't need anybody up there praying for the country. I don't need anybody up there praying for other countries. I don't need anybody up there praying for the President of the United States. I need people praying for the American people, the sick, the hungry, the infirmed, the crippled. And I said to myself, wait a minute. What is it going to be? Rededicate 250 this Saturday, May 16th. Am I going to get church? Whatever that looks like for you? Or am I going to get American propaganda under the guise of church? Or in the guise of church? And I said to myself, man, I don't want that. Now, many of you listening to me may say, well, Shelley, we're a Judeo-Christian country. And I would say, okay, that's fine, all and good. But if you're going to rededicate 250 and you're going to celebrate the greatness of this country, you need to pray for those who can't help themselves. You need to pray for those who are in need of prayer. You need to pray for those who you disparage, because that's what God would want you to do. God doesn't want us to go out there and pray for political figures. He doesn't want us to put our guiding protective arms around presidents and senators and secretaries of war. Imagine telling a country, any country at any point in time in history, that we're going to have 7 hours of prayer, and it's going to be led by the Secretary of War. It's like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. I said, man, I want this to happen, but I hope it happens right. I hope it's right. I hope it's done correctly. I'll be watching, and I'll report on it on Monday. But as we go into Rededicate 250, I'm just saying, I want to hear a bunch of prayers for those in need. I want to hear a bunch of prayers for poor people. I want to hear a bunch of prayers for the sick. I want to hear a bunch of prayers for our elderly. I want to hear a bunch of prayers for kids with cancer. I want to hear prayers for CHOA children. I want to hear prayers for children in hospitals fighting diseases that came upon them through no fault of their own. I want to hear those prayers. I want to hear prayers for women who've been raped and murdered, and prayers for their families of healing. I want to hear those prayers. If one speaker gets up there and tells me we need to pray for our president, I will turn off the television. If one person gets up there and talks about we need to pray for Republicans all across the country, I will turn off the television. Because trust me, I may not be the most religious guy in the world. I may not have gone to seminary. I may not be a theologian. But I will tell you this, the God of the universe is not listening to you pray for one man or one country. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. It's the Shelley Winter Show. Live, local, relevant, and topical.
Before me.